What's going on, everyone? Right here, and welcome back to another video. So guys, in today's video we're going to be going over the update that just rolled around this morning on some of the bug fixes that came to the game, and then following that I want to give you guys my honest opinion about the update and what I think is going to happen in the future and what we are hoping for in the future. So with that being said, let's jump right into the video. Alrighty guys, so we did just get an update about some of the bugs in the game. They corrected a bunch of little small things. Not a whole lot has happened to the controls, big changes. I just want to stress that first. I think that's for a later date. I think it's going to take a little bit of time to actually make corrections to the controls. I know a lot of you guys in the Reddit post, when they posted this update, were a little bit frustrated that nothing has happened to the controls. But as you guys know, we've only been playing the update for about a week now, and it takes a little bit of time to make those big corrections. So the update now is just on the small bug changes. So we're going to be jumping into that first. So some changes to the shop. So fixed value display for time limited offers was showing plus and minus 105%. So I was a little bit confused about this as well. When I first got the update, I read it off, but I didn't really get what it meant. So that's going to be a little bit different. Now, fixed missing graphic in the shop. So there were small little changes to the shop. What I've noticed is that there's a bunch of little small things that I certainly didn't notice, but I'm sure a lot of you guys noticed in the community, little things that you really kind of overlook, but they added those. So for the UI, fixed displaying a game room twice underneath an event when advertised to both bands and friends. And next one, fixed matchmaking, players found, indicator not displaying a full amount of players, i.e. 6 out of 6 players before entering match, and brawler trophies added back to the brawler menu. So a lot of people were mentioning this as well, that they wanted to add the trophies above the brawler icon in the brawler screen. Though we have it in profile, it's just a nice little addition. I know that was a little bit annoying where all you were able to see was just that, whether or not you have the star power or things like that. So that's a small correction that it shows that the Brawl Stars team is kind of listening to the community. I know that was a big deal. A lot of people are bringing that up. And as you guys can see, a lot of these changes have been kind of generally pretty small but necessary. Small little tweaks that people have gotten a little bit annoyed about. So next is gameplay. So fixed Robo Rumble displaying 2 seconds more in game compared to the end screen. So this actually happened in one of my recent videos where someone actually called it out, where my end game time and the time on the end screen were a little bit different. I didn't really know or didn't really take away that much from it, but I guess it was happening to other people as well, so that's a necessary change. Fix auto fire targeting through indestructible walls, for example with Colt Super. Another great change. I feel like the auto attack is a little bit overpowered in certain situations, so I feel like that is a necessary change as well. Fix joystick input not registering over the bottom part of the screen in Showdown. So another small tweak, things that necessarily are hard to realize, but someone in the community must have realized it and brought it to their attention, so that's good. Brawl Ball carry indicator added. Removed flashing effect from Brawl or Battle intro. Auto fire target is now calculated on server to improve accuracy. Auto fire no longer targets flying opponents. Auto fire now works correctly with Mortis and Poco Super and fires through walls. So a thing that I've noticed about this change is a lot of things have been tweaked to the auto fire. I think that is essential. I know a lot of you guys in the community about this update have been saying that they're a little bit frustrated that there has been corrections to just the auto fire, or a lot has been changed to the auto fire, making it a little bit more better, I should say. And I totally get what you're saying, but if you guys think about it, if they're rolling with the auto fire, they got to make sure it's correct. They got to make sure it's working optimally. So I get what they're doing there, though we'll see. I think they're making tweaks to what they have now in the game. If they make corrections later on, then we'll see that. So hopefully in the next big update, controls will be tweaked. Some of the suggestions you guys are leaving in the community will be addressed and changed. Next is auto fire now shoots the ball directly at the enemy goal in Brawl Ball. So another kind of tweak to auto fire, making it a little bit better. So top bottom masks on the iPad and side masks on the iPhone X are now getting a little bit darker. So another small tweak and improved AFK disconnected player detection. So another small tweak, something that I definitely haven't noticed in game, but it seems to be somewhat necessary if they actually address it and make a change on it. So next is Brawl Boxes, removed flashing effect and Brawl Box sounds tweaked. So again, a lot of small changes. I'm sure when you guys were clicking on this update and ready to read it, you guys were thinking that there was going to be something drastic to the controls or something like that. I was kind of hoping for it as well, something different, because I feel like a lot of you guys are frustrated about it. But as you guys know, it's only been out for a week, and they can't really change a whole lot in that amount of time. It's a lot of time. I'm sure they were working pretty hard to make these corrections as well, which is kind of why I'm sure there was a little bit of lack of communication. A lot of time was probably put into making these small changes. It goes to show how much work it actually takes to implement an update. So next we're going to be jumping into my honest opinion about the controls and what I think should be added in the future, hopefully. So a lot of you guys have been commenting, how are you so positive about this update? What do you actually like about it? I think it's important, me as a person, to try to look at the positives about anything, especially with a big update like this and something that I cover and enjoy and love. I really enjoy Brawl Stars. I've really fallen in love with it. It's such a great game. So I try to look at the positives. There are several things that I did enjoy coming from this update. I know a lot of you guys didn't enjoy a lot, and I'm sure you guys are focusing on those things, but try to take away the positives and what can come from this game. I know I'm going on a tangent about the positives and things like that, and we'll get into what I don't like as well. There are things that I don't like, but I think it's important to kind of look at the intentions of the Brawl Stars dev team, what they're trying to get out of this. Obviously, they kind of went on a different path than what we thought they were going to, but they have all the right intentions of trying to get this game global, which is what they're trying to do with this update. They're trying to make it easier for the players coming into the game, and we were frustrated about it just because we got used to a certain way of playing. We were really good at the other way of playing, and so was I. It's very different. I've gotten much worse at the game when compared to the other way. That's just how it works with any update where it's such a drastic change. I think I do I should say the things that I do think I like about the update. I enjoy the interface and how it looks. You can tell they really took a long time on making it look eye appealing for some of the newer players coming into the game. Again, I've said this before, that I feel like this last update was a next huge step, trying to take a big step towards global and Android. I think, like I said before, that this is a necessary step where they're trying to make it more playable for the brawlers coming to the game, where they can't just keep adding new things to the game, just a new brawler or just new game modes, where they have to address a thing where making it easier for the new players coming to the game. So I get where they're coming from. So I enjoy the interface. Next, let's jump into the things that I don't necessarily enjoy, or things that need to be fixed, that I believe. So a lot of you guys have been discussing about the controls, that you don't like it. Really frustrated about it. I initially, when the update first came out, I was a little bit iffy. I was really confused as to why they made it the controls double joystick and things like that. After a week of playing with, obviously I don't think it's as good as it used to be. I'm a little bit frustrated about the auto tap and auto fire and things like that. I tried to not use it, as you guys know in the last update where I said how to master the controls. Basically, the whole idea around that video was to try to get used to the game so you guys wouldn't be so reliant on the auto fire, just because I really don't feel like it's a great thing in the game. I think it's good to get good at more tactical things that you can control as a player, not the UI. Especially if you're in the game and you're flicking, you can be more precise with your shots, and it kind of reminds me more of the way it used to be played, where you could really direct your shots really well. So auto fire, not really for that. I know it's going to be pretty good for the newer players coming to the game. It's going to be a little bit more self-explanatory. You don't have to be a freaking god at the game to be actually good. You can just be kind of on even playing the level with some of the people in the game. So I get what they're going for, but I feel like it definitely needs some tweaks. Obviously, we got some tweaks to it in this last update, but it was kind of to make it a little bit better. But they're making updates on what they're working with now. So if we voice our opinions, if you guys really don't like it in a constructive way, please comment what you guys would like to change about the update and the auto fire and things like that. It would be really helpful for the Brawl Stars dev team. So the next topic that I want to discuss is the landscape mode. I'm a little bit iffy in this as well. I'm about half and half. So I enjoy certain things about it, and I don't like certain things about it. I'm sure a lot of you guys are the same way. It's hard to kind of just pick out something that you just completely hate. There's always something that you can take away from it that's somewhat okay, unless you're really focusing on the bad things. So the things that I like the way it looks. It looks fantastic when you're looking at the horizontal plane. I think it looks fantastic. I think it's going going to be eye-appealing for certain players coming to the game, where it's a little bit bigger, a little bit wider, and easier to see certain things on the map. People aren't going to be flanking, but that could be a bad thing as well, that it kind of took a thing away from the game. So I like the way it looks. So next, talking about some of the things that I don't necessarily love about Portrait, and the first thing is the alarming difference where when we're shooting with a longer range brawler longitudinally. So as you guys know, Portrait, you can see a lot this way, but not a lot this way. So when you're shooting with a brawler with a lot of range this way, it's a little bit hard to see where the shots are going, and I get that. We're taking a lot of range off of some of the brawlers, which is what some of the brawlers are really dependent on, like a Ricochet, constantly bombarding their shots where the brawlers are. And if you can't do that, I think it takes a lot away from certain brawlers. So I completely understand the frustration there, and I'm guessing a lot of their focus is going to be addressing these certain things, where it's these big changes that should be coming to the game. So I'm sure that's going to be changed. Another thing that I don't necessarily love, or I shouldn't say I'm not really liking it, it's just something that is different, I should say, and that is flanking. So that was definitely a huge strategy before that we were used to, and a part of the gameplay that we are used to, where if you're a bull, you can sneak up on someone because you're manipulating or taking advantage of their camera angle. They can't see you when they're coming on, but if you can see a lot horizontally, it's really difficult to sneak up on anybody unless you're kind of sneaking up from the top. There's really no flanking in the game anymore, which is a little bit frustrating, but that's okay. There are other ways to play the game. But I'm just giving my 2 cents on what I've noticed in the game so far. So the next thing is that the camera angle that we have now with landscape is making the brawlers a little bit slower, and I guess that is not necessarily a hugely bad thing, just because it's just something that we're not used to. When new players come to the game, this is not going to be something that they're like, oh, these brawlers are moving incredibly slow. They're not going to notice that. It's just what we're used to as people playing the game for a long time. So what I've noticed is everyone does seem a little bit slower. So I got Crow before the update, and I've been playing with him a lot, so I have that speed, I guess, with Crow, so I haven't been really noticing it a whole lot. But once you play with a brawler like Shelly or Tara or Bull, you really notice it, where it's a little bit slower and the camera doesn't move with you just because it's zoomed out a little bit more. So it appears to be moving a little bit slower. I don't think that's a hugely bad thing. It just makes the gameplay a tiny bit less fast. So I get where some of the people are a little bit frustrated on that, but I think that's totally because of change. So I think that might be addressed. I'm not sure. So next, moving on to the big one, and that is the controls. So I've also been really positive about the controls. I feel like certain things are definitely good when you look at it in the aspect of new brawlers coming to the game. It's going to be very easy getting down. It's very straightforward. They got an auto aim. They got a it's just 2 joysticks. Feels good in the hands. You aim with the right side. Obviously, I don't like it as a standpoint of a brawler playing before. I feel like the tap was a little bit more skill based. That's something that we got used to after 8 months of playing the game. So when you just change it, it's a little bit hard to get used to, which is why everyone's so frustrated. It's just the change. It's something that we're not used to. So I totally get what the frustration is all about. But what I've noticed is that I'm starting to get used to it. I feel like if you guys take the time to actually practice it, you could start getting some skill in the flick and things like that. I think the most thing that I'm a little bit against is the auto aim. I don't necessarily love the auto aim, just because you could totally tell when someone's using the auto aim. If say you're jumping in with a Crow, or you're trying to get in position and their first initial reaction is tapping the auto aim, or the timing is just perfect where someone jumps in and a Shelly just uses their super right away. You can't really assassinate, you can't really be surprising, you can't really do anything, just because they'll just spam the auto aim. And I get that. It's super easy for players coming into the game that don't necessarily know how to play, and they can pick it up. It kind of be on level playing field with some of the brawlers that are being played, and it's very straightforward. It's easy to get. But as you guys know, it's pretty apparent that I'm not super for the auto aim. I get what they're doing with it, but like in my latest video, or one of my latest videos, basically the whole video was trying to get better at the controls, mastering the controls, and the basic premise was trying to not use the auto aim. Trying to get good with the flick. I feel like the flick and lining up your shots that way is more of a skill base, kind of going back to the roots of just tapping on the screen and you can line up your shots. Where if you flick, you can be more direct with your shots. You can line it up in certain spots, where in the auto aim, if you shoot at someone and they're right there in a certain spot, they're going to move. So if if you're a Spike throwing it at a Shelly moving, it's not going to hit them. So we have to get good in that way. If we start trying to practice in that way, we can become more skilled at it. And I think it's going to be better than the auto aim if we start getting used to it. So that's my 2 cents on the controls. I think there are a lot of improvements to come, but like I said before, it is a new update. It's a lot different, and it's going to take the Brawl Stars team some time to make sure the controls are perfect. So I understand that some of our frustration, we kind of have to work with it as beta testers. That's kind of our job, is to play the game, play the update, give our honest feedback, and see what the Brawl Stars team can do with it so that we can get ready for global. That's another thing that I did want to bring up in the video, is the reason I've been so positive about the updates is that's the only way we're going to get constructive change in the game. I feel like if we're completely negative, though it brings it to their attention, but it's in a negative way. I feel like it's very disheartening for the Brawl Stars dev team to see people leaving the game or seeing that they hate the game. I feel like this step was something that they really wanted to get ready for when global. So I feel like the best possible way we're going to get change in the game, and I've definitely seen it in the Reddit comments, I've seen it one of two ways. So there's either hate or things that people are bringing up constructively. Obviously the people that they are bringing it up constructively, they don't necessarily like the change, but they're bringing it to their attention in ways that they can change. So if we're looking at the positives about it and we're kind of approaching it like that in a calm manner, not so ragey and hateful, I feel like it's important then they can start getting some constructive change going. That's why I try to approach it in the most positive way possible, because I think it's the best way to get constructive change. So that's just my 2 cents on the whole thing. So if you guys do love this game and you want to see changes being made, the best possible way is approach it with a cool head and think of constructive ways to do it. Try to approach it positively. So before you guys start typing that hate comment, try to do it more constructive. Bring up your opinions, but then bring it up with something that can change. So you guys, that's going to be the end of the video. Let me know what you thought of the small update that was rolling around. Obviously, again, they only had a small amount of time to make these changes, so not a whole lot of huge changes can be added to the game in that short amount of time. But let me know what you guys think about what they added to the game. Also, if you guys did enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like on it. Help me out a lot. And with that being said, you guys, make sure to keep having fun with Brawl Stars, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.